today. And this is Lenora Worth and Joy Rancatore. Okay, great. And we decided we were going to read each other's bios because it feels like you're a little, like weird to read your own bio. So we'll give a brief introduction of each of us. And I get to read Lenora's bio. A member of the American Christian Fiction Writers Honor Roll. Lenora Worth is a New York Times, USA Today, Publishers Weekly, and ECPA bestselling author. She is a 2019 RWA Rita finalist, received the Romantic Times Pioneer Award for Inspirational Fiction, and had 3 of her books final in the ACFW Carroll Awards. With 100 plus books and novellas published and millions of books in print, she enjoys adventures with her retired husband and loves reading, baking, and shopping, especially shoe shopping. Welcome, come on in. Hello. Hey. For more information, visit our website, lenoraworth.com.
Okay, I'm going to read Miss Joy's. Joy E. Rancatore. Close. She is an award-winning multi-genre indie author focused on writing the soul with heart while providing experiences that bring readers and authors together to share the read. She writes Southern fiction with Christian roots, nonfiction writing, and fantasy stories. She also has authored 6 books with many more on the way and has an ever-growing number of short stories. For more information, visit her website at joyrancatore.com.
We'll read it, or you can find us online at the end. So, don't worry.
All right, and I get to read Morgan's. So Morgan Tarpley Smith is a best-selling author, award-winning journalist, and world traveler who weaves stories of history and heart. Her writing transports readers to faraway places and intertwines past and present to explore questions of truth and faith. Her debut novella collection, Louisiana Christmas to Remember, ranked number 8 on the 2023 ECPA bestseller list for Christmas fiction. A Central Louisiana native, she now lives in Shreveport with her husband and son. For more information, visit her website at www.morgantarpleysmith.com.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming. We will have a giveaway at the end. So toward the end, I'll give a moment for everybody to come up and, if you haven't signed our card, put it in the bucket. We want to give you free stuff because that's a fun thing that we like to do for readers. As readers, we like to get bookmarks and books. So we just had fun talking about what we can give to you because we appreciate our readers. So we have some questions prepared. But we also want to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free when there's a pause to just raise your hand. We're not doing anything too formal because actually we're going to start with speed dating. You're going to speed date us today. So it's romance, right? So sometimes, especially in our culture, we have everything's a little faster paced. So we do more speed dating online or maybe in a group setting, a church setting, So we thought it'd be kind of fun to do a little of that today. So we're going to start there. But I did want to ask, what is everyone's connection to Louisiana? So Joy, would you start?
Okay, so my husband was born in New Orleans and grew up in Slidell, and so I married him, so here I am. And this is actually, I have never lived anywhere as long as I have lived in Slidell. That's where we live, and so I think I can call it home.
Very good.
Well, I grew up in Georgia, and we moved to Atlanta when we were very young, and my husband started working for General Motors. And then he got transferred to Shreveport, Louisiana. And I lived there for 30 years. And we moved to Florida about 10 years ago. But I still feel like I'm a Louisiana person. And the food this weekend, loving it. I mean, Florida has great food, but you can't beat Louisiana. And so we lived there for 30 years. He worked at General Motors there. Then he retired early. And I started my writing career there in 1993, so I have a lot of precious memories and the more you travel and learn, you meet people that were there when you were there, and you kind of passed in the night, and meet people that you wind up knowing you're going to be friends with forever. A lot of them are in this room, so we like Louisiana.
Yes, and so Lenora and I, we're very blessed to be co-authors with Betsy St. Amant, who is a Shreveport native and a writer in Shreveport as well, on our novella collection that is literally Hallmark-esque, small town Louisiana, but putting all our things we love about our state in the community, and how our community bonds together we put that into our book. So I'm actually from Central Louisiana. I am from claim Catabula Parish in LaSalle. We were just talking about LaSalle used to be Catabula Parish until it split. So literally, I'm from Catabula Parish, but now I live in Shreveport. So I'm very happy to be here representing Central Louisiana. I lived there most of my life. So yeah, okay. So we're into our speed dating part first, which is quick and fun. Tea. We'll start with Joy.
Tea with Scottish shortbread on the side.
Ooh, nice.
Coffee.
What kind?
I like black in the morning and latte in the afternoon.
Oh, nice. Okay, I like tea and coffee, but I do love London Fogs, which is Earl Grey with steamed milk and fresh vanilla syrup in it. So I do like some coffee too. All right, so spring or fall? I'm totally fall. I mean, I have hats, I have layers, you know. Of course, fall in Louisiana is always up in the air, literally. So I like cooler temperatures, which could be January here. So spring or fall?
Spring.
Oh, you got a butterfly necklace. Yeah.
Always spring. Even though fall's nice.
Born in the spring, but I love fall.
What do you like about fall?
The colors that we don't have here.
I'm
I'm a mountain girl at heart, though, so.
We just went to Arkansas a few weeks ago, and I was like, there are some turning leaves here in Arkansas. Like, yes. So I love leaf peeping. Our grandparents used to take trips on the East Coast to leaf peep, which is funny sounding, but fun. Okay, so travel or staycation? I'm totally travel. I travel around the world. I get a lot of inspiration from our writing from that, but I just love experiencing other cultures, other places, a lot that are very different from all. I've been to the Middle East twice. I've been to Costa Rica for a study abroad, so a lot of different experiences. What do you think?
I like to travel, but I have to admit, living in Florida, we do a lot of staycations.
I would too, I think. Especially by you have a lake or you have a beach right there. So
I would love to travel more. It's one of our goals, but I do love staycations too. And we're in St. Tammany Parish, and we've got so many wonderful places that we love to go and spend time at.
yeah, and being in Louisiana or in the South, there's so many different places we can drive to. When you travel overseas and people are talking about, especially like driving from England to Scotland or something, people are like, why would you drive that far or ride a train? And I'm like, we live in the U.S. We drive across country in like 20 hours. And like, okay, you know? So like we like our road trips, especially in Louisiana. There's so many unique things to see from central to north, back down to south. And I love that about our state. It's so diverse. Okay, our next thing, and this can be tricky. Paperback, audiobook, or ebook? Joy starts.
Paperback.
Paperback.
It's easy.
Paperback.
Okay, season of life, I love collecting books, so paperback, but I do love audiobooks more as a busy mom and like driving, commuting, I really do, but you have to have a good narrator, because you're just like, wait, what did they say? You know, you get in your head. But yeah, so is anybody a book smeller? Anybody a book smeller in here? New books, old books, all the books. Okay. We're in good company. My husband loves old books now. I like new books. Like literally when I got our book, the first thing I did was open it and then I admired the cover and then I smelled it, which is strange, but you know, we do things like that.
Libraries are like that. When I first went into the Carnegie Library when I was a little girl, that smell, it never goes away. It's the smell of books.
Yeah, my husband, when we were in Edinburgh, Scotland, we went into a lot of old bookstores, which are really like art themselves. Like all the shelves going in places, you're like, how can you get those books up there, you know? But he was like, the smell of the old books. And I'm like, not for me, but I love the books. So, Joy, what about you? Do you like to smell books?
Yes. Yes, I do.
What do you prefer, new or old? All.
Okay. All the books.
Well, awesome. Sorry, we had to have a weird author thing in here, but yeah, reader thing. We're readers too. All right, so contemporary or historical novels. This is really hard for me because I'm published debut contemporary, but I actually write dual timeline, which is contemporary and historical mixed storylines. So I really love history. I love finding nuggets of history and weaving into my writing. Even contemporary, Lenora will say, I brought the history to it because it's about a family, multi-generational family in small town Louisiana, and their family founded the town like several hundred years before, and it's very French inspired, which in our state has such a French heritage, and it has a stone chapel in it that gets damaged by a hurricane that comes through, and my character's goal is to get this chapel restored because it's like she owes it to her ancestors, her legacy. And so we had to have some history, especially being in a small town that goes back several hundred years in this, at least in this respect, but contemporary historical.
I like both, really. I read a lot of contemporary, but when I first started reading romance last century, a lot of it was historical. Yes.
Very good.
I tend to lean toward historical when I'm picking up books. I love historical, and even though mine is categorized as contemporary, mine's also multi-generation, family and friends, and all of that. And so there's a lot of history, especially in the short story collection that's part of this. There are some World War II and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I kind of like, even in contemporary, you got to have some history. It may just be the characters' history because they're usually dealing with things from their past. Like, I know our characters, it's a mother, daughter, and cousin that are our characters. And so we were like family dynamics, family loss in your family, and how it affects each family member at different ages. We have the grandmother, who is our favorite character in our book. She's really quirky and fun, and she just tells it how it is. And, just the dynamic. So in your book, Joy, like, what's the history element in yours?
So a lot of World War II. So we've got several Marines who feature in the book, and my main character is a Marine. And so he gets advice from these guys who were in World War II. And his best friend, his grandfather, was also in World War II. And through research, I discovered that he would have been a Montford Marine, because at that point, African Americans they didn't go through the same boot camp that the other Marines did. And so they were at Montford Point. And I got to do some really cool research for that and completely changed the story, and it was wonderful.
So that's awesome, and that's what I love about dual timeline too, is like you have the historical, but how does it affect your present day? So even in contemporary stories and romance too, we still have ways like how's their romance, their backgrounds, and their family legacies. Because Paul, my hero in the story, his father's the mayor, and so there's a lot of pressure that comes within your families in this kind of hierarchy of the town, and you have to behave a certain way, things like that. He didn't, so he's kind of dealing with that legacy too. And then you have World War II with grandparents or parents, and so it's really it all kind of we kind of borrow from different things. And Lenora, you write romantic suspense as well, contemporary. So
research. Yeah, I like the historical as far as digging up elements that can help a contemporary. I've always liked to do that with the settings and things like that. But with the suspense, yes, a lot of research. Not a lot of historical, but if I find something like that can help the here and now in suspense, I will use it. So,
yeah, as authors, we can definitely say we pick up everything. If you're talking to us, we may in our head mentally go, character, dialogue, or like, yeah, we're watching. Even Jane Austen, she would stop mid-conversation with someone and go, just literally leave them and go write something down. Well, if Jane Austen did it, we can be weird. So she's
in my suspense, I've heard a lot of my old bosses that I didn't like.
The villains?
They get murdered off sometimes.
I want to know what romantic suspense is.
Oh, you want me to tell it now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Romantic suspense is suspense where the romance balances with the suspense. It's two people who meet because of a crime, and one could be a normal person, one could be a law enforcement person. We do a lot of military romantic suspense, K-9 books, K-9 officers.
How is that different from cozy mysteries, or is that much the same?
Cozy mystery is more solving whodunit. Suspense is more, why are they doing it and how can we catch them? Usually they know who the bad guy is, not all the time, but it's usually a woman in jeopardy and the hero has to help her. Or for example, I'm doing a book now where my heroine is a U.S. Marshal and he is a rancher and somebody's trying to kill him and she's after this fugitive, so she's trying to protect him and he's a rancher, so he's trying to protect her, so they kind of he's going to protect who, but that's what it is. And I fall in love.
Yeah, and the cozies too, a lot of times with cozies, you don't actually see a body. You don't see any details. So the romantic suspense, depending on who's writing it and what publisher, you can have some more details within reason. So with cozies, usually they saw a body. You don't get the details as a reader usually. So, but every publisher and author does a little differently. Okay, so since we're writing romance, what are your favorite romance tropes? I love, which they kind of all do this, but forced proximity. Because, you think about the snowed-in cabin, they're forced to be, they're snowed in, they can't go anywhere. Ooh, what's going to happen, you know? So, like, those types of things, I like, yeah, that's probably my favorite forced proximity. And then, like, rivals to lovers. Because you start out with this whole, like, they're at each other's throat. They're not enemies, because that one can get a little intense for me, but, like, they just don't hit off for whatever reason. By the end, you're going, they're like, I don't really like them, but I like them, you know? So, what do you think? What tropes do you like?
Well, you know, I like that you said rivals to enemies. I like that. I mean, rivals to lovers. I like that better than the enemies to lovers thing. So that would probably be.
It's that you automatically have that spark of conflict. I'm writing
Yeah.
a book right now. It's rivals to lovers. It's kind of fun to see. And I'm also doing reverse Grump Sunshine. It's usually the guy that's the grump and the girl Sunshine. I'm doing the reverse. But I have to make her likable, so it's kind of hard. So, yeah, it's a challenge, but it's been kind of fun for a reverse mindset. What about you, Lenora?
I love reunion stories, and I think I don't know if I like the enemies to friends. You know, there's several that I like, but I really like reunions, and I like forbidden
Love? Oh, okay.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Romeo and Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, and your novella in our collection is actually a reunion romance. So
Yeah,
that was
fun.
really fun for you to write.
That was fun.
And I did write a rivals to lovers somewhat in my novella. What would you say is one of the tropes in yours, Joy?
So I guess it would probably be reunion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really fun. And I like, because you can do that on different levels. Like in my novella, mine's a little bit reunion too, but they were rivals in high school. And now it's 10 years later. And so you see that kind of like, you still kind of remember who you were, but you're 10 years out from that. But he's still the annoying mayor's son. So you're like, you know, characters like that. And then your reunion romance is, it was decades before when they fell in love and then had to part ways.
They were sweethearts when she met him in Paris, and he left her waiting at a table, but he had a good reason.
We won't tell you the reason, because spoilers. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, right?
I'm not going to tell what the reason was, but anyway, it was fun to write. And then Betsy's was, what was hers?
They hadn't met before. I'm trying to think what her trope was.
Maybe Grumpy Sunshine?
Yeah, I think it was Grump Sunshine, kind of, but in reverse,
And
maybe.
she was more,
Forced proximity. They had to work
Yeah,
on a project,
that's
so
it.
it was the forced
she was an
proximity.
artist and he was a carpenter.
Yeah, and they had to work on the same project. They didn't like it, so that was it. More forced proximity.
She couldn't be here today, so we'll put in some.
Yeah, but she would have loved to. She had other conflicts, so. So yeah, just fun. And reunion. How far is your reunion romance, or is it between family?
So they were childhood sweethearts. Actually, their
Okay.
mothers were best friends, and so they had known each other from birth. Literally, they learned to walk together.
It's like family friends then. Okay.
Yes. And then some things happened, and they were separated for about almost a decade.
And you love hearing stories. Like we hear stories around people we know that have gotten together after they were high school sweethearts, or like they knew each other growing up maybe, or just even college, or they worked together. And we love hearing those stories. They're really out there, you know. So.
My husband and I, we knew each other when we were very young.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, one right here then. Very good. Okay, so are you most creative morning, day, or night? Joy, you want to start us off?
So I have always been a night owl, and that's when I really loved to write. But the older I've gotten, the harder it is to stay up. So I am making myself become a morning creative.
We do what we have to do.
We do. Right in the little pockets of time. But yes.
My first reaction was none of the above. Because, you know, when my children were little and my husband went to work, I'd start like around 9 o'clock and stop at 3 because I knew the madness was about to happen when everybody got home. Then when my husband retired and my children were grown, you know, it was a little later. Because the first thing I told him when he was retired is, do not bother me. I work at home. And it took a while for him to grasp that. But, so now that we moved, he's retired, it's usually afternoons are better. I get going and finally I've got him all organized and everybody, him and the dog are happy, so I can go write until he yells, Lenora!
Yeah, so I'm at season 2, like depending on so if you are writers, like don't lose heart. If you can just get some writers write in writing sprints of 15 minutes and they can put a lot of words in that 15 minutes. I'm not quite one of those yet, but like do what you could do. Lunch breaks, dictate it to your phone. You know, there's a lot of different ways that we can do things. I tend to do night owl, but like it's kind of whenever. So just in the car, like dictate while I'm going to the house. It just depends. And it's a process that we're always trying to, pivot. And then when things happen in your life, you have to pause for a minute. But when you're in a deadline, you have to kind of figure that in too. But it's really, you can just experiment and see what works for you at that time. Okay, what's your favorite writing snack? Chocolate. Oh, yeah, chocolate. Okay,
Anything chocolate.
Same chocolate.
Chocolate or Patty LaBelle's sweet potato pie.
Oh, nice. That's very specific. Yeah, and then I'm sour candy. If it's late at night, I'm tired, like Sour Patch Kids. Sour, you're just like, okay, go wait down. All right. Do you type or handwrite your stories or parts of them? I can go first. I tend to handwrite a lot and then type up because my day job, I'm on the computer all the time. So I'm a grant writer, I do PR, consultant work, and then work with authors too. And so a lot of I'm on the computer screen like all day. And at the end, when I'm time my writing time, I'm just like, I can't look at the screen anymore. So I will actually, and something about for me, I've always been obsessed with paper. I mean, I was the new book smeller, remember from earlier. I'm obsessed with pens and paper. When I was a kid and I went to the store and we had some, $2 to spend from our allowance, I would buy a new notebook and a pen and be happy and just make up stories and things. So I still am like that. I like to have a notebook, and then it's like somebody said this sometime. Sometimes your brain works well enough to your pen, like slow enough that you can get your thoughts out. And the type, I'm just like, So like maybe change it up too. Sometimes I do have to type if I'm under deadline or something, but I do like to handwrite.
Well, I scribble ideas, and then I like the notepads too. And I start there. I scribble the idea for the next day or a scene I want to change, things like that. But I really do like being able to type because my handwriting is horrible. And I'll be going, what?
You have to decipher your writing?
Yes. So I really enjoy having my laptop and my iPad to write on.
So similar to you, so the bulk of the writing is done on the laptop or the desktop, but I love to handwrite brainstorming. When I am working on the book description on the back of the book, that is the hardest thing for a writer to write. Just let me know.
It is.
It's awful. Hate it. But I have to do that with pen and paper and other things like that. Maybe a few little lines or little scenes that come to me. I like to do that by hand. And I did handwrite This Good Thing, which is my novella. I did handwrite that first draft because I wanted to. I wanted to write a first draft by hand and have that experience, and it was a novella. Notice that it's the shorter one, but yeah, I don't think I will do that again.
Yeah, and sometimes it might be I write part of a chapter handwritten something in a card or my laptop, or then I type the rest, and so just do what works for you. But like something about, and I'm a nerd, I like to pick out a pretty journal from like a store, and it might fit the theme of my book because that's just fun nerd. And so then I'm like, oh, I have this pretty new journal, and now I can write in it. Yeah, so then I have too many journals. My writing partners are nodding right now. Okay, so we're almost done with our speed dating. So if you have any questions y'all have, you're welcome to ask a few more. Okay, so when you're writing, do you like silence or noise? And if you like noise, what is the noise? I'll go first. I like to listen to instrumental scores from movies. And so each of my books that I'm working on, I have like certain like scores for movies and things that I put in that playlist on like Spotify. And so if it's more of an intense scene, I'm listening to intense instrumental. If it's more of a romantic scene, I'm going to listen to really a sweeping romantic type music. Obviously writing Christmas, I had a lot of Christmas instrumental music playing. But that's what I like to do. Is I cannot have words because I'm focused on the words, but I can't have silence either. Plus, I have a 6-year-old running around, so I got to have something to block some of that out. So I like instrumental score music. And movies, when I'm watching movies, the music stays with me, and I can actually picture what's going on in the movies. So it's just like something about the music and the emotion in it.
similar. I do like music, and I will listen to different types of music depending on where I am in the stage of writing, whether it's drafting, revising, editing. For editing, for sure, instrumental, and you're right, movie scores are fantastic for that. But I do have playlists that I put together for each of my books, so they're on the book pages on my website, and it's just fun because some of the songs are ones that I was listening to while I was writing or revising or something. Others are just ones that remind me of my characters or something like that. So.
Well, you'll laugh. I like noise because I have tinnitus and it drives me. I can't have a lot of silence, and there's never a lot of silence in my house anyway. But I watch soap operas. My mother watched them, and I have
Stories.
carried on that tradition. But I do it because a professor told a class that I was in, and she was a writer too, that she has her writing students watch soap operas because of the twist, the plot twist, and the expressions. And she's right. And a lot of writers I know, they watch them, but they turn down the volume because they want to get that expression that, that. And so it really does help. And I kind of, if I'm on a break with my coffee and chocolate, I'll actually watch the soap opera. But for the most part, it's just background noise that has to do with life and love and conflict. And she did say some of the best conflict you'll ever find is in soap operas because it's so improbable. It's so like, how do they do that? But I don't write my books like that, I hope. But it does help. And sometimes if I just can't take that, I'll put on, I love blues music. I love rhythm and blues, really like good old New Orleans jazz and blues and country blues. I love that. It's very soothing to me and very gets me back to my roots.
It's very grounding,
and believe
right?
me, I grew up in a really large Southern family. We had a lot of blues going on.
Love it. All right, so plotter, plantser, or pantser, and if you're not in the writing world, plotter is literally plotting out in detail different degrees of your book. Plantser is someone in the middle between. Pantsing it is writing by the seat of your pants, like you may not even know what's coming next, and someone can kind of fit in the middle, and some kind of go one different way. I'm definitely a plotter. I'm pretty detailed. Not as detailed as one author that earlier that said they write a 42-page synopsis. I've written a 22-page one. So usually, so I was like, okay, I'm not quite 40 pages, but I do like, it's part of, for me, it's a fun process to figure it out on page and then on paper and then see how it translates to actual text. Sometimes your characters surprise you and you go, no, I didn't want you to do that. And they're like, I'm doing it. And you're like, fine. Granny in our book, same way. She was like, I'm throwing this if I want to. And we're like, okay, fine. Yeah, we did. It was just the control. We couldn't control her. That character just does what she wants. So what do you think? Where are you, Lenora?
Well, I used to be a pantser, just fly into the mist, and now I'm more of a plantster because I plot more now. But example of our book, here's a major plotter, and I'm a major fly into the mister. And Betsy probably somewhere between. Mm-hmm. But here's me, Grandma, who's old school, and these two young uns, and they're just leaving me in the dirt.
We're totally not.
But they helped me so much. But we did it. We coordinated it. And I think I had more edits than them. I wonder why. But we loved Granny. She just took over, and she helped me a lot with my plot because she would tell me what she wanted to say. And I'm like, okay, Granny, we'll run it by the other two if they like it.
Yeah, and I was saying the unique thing about our novella collection, you can read them standalone, but they all actually merge together as one novel. So it's like 3 weeks before Christmas. I took the third week, Betsy's the second, and yours is the last week. And so we had to actually confer with each other how your characters would speak, to collaborate. Because usually you kind of, in collections, you have a theme, and maybe the publisher gives it, or our authors get together with it, and you kind of just say, we're going to write these different ones, and they're going to be under a theme umbrella. But yeah, they're not connected, and at least not usually. But ours were like, it's going to be the same town, it's going to be the same family, they're only family members, and our characters are going to show up in each other's books. All right, let's do this.
It was really a good learning experience, and if you leave here with nothing else, you always keep learning as a writer. And when you think you know it all, you might as well just give up because you don't. And I learned a lot, and I was so proud that we were able to kind of weave it and make it work. It was a lot of work and back and forth, and but it really was fun to write with their youngness made me feel young again, and my grumpiness probably toughened them up a little bit. So
It was
all
a
worked
good
out.
process. But yeah, what are you, Joy, in the scheme of things?
Yeah, so I would probably be a planter. I really love the term discovery writer because, like you were talking about, the characters kind of dictate a lot of things. They really do. And so I get to discover things along the way, which is fun.
Our characters teach us things all the time, especially in faith-based writing. There's more inspiration than just people around you. With us, it's inspiration from for us, our faith with Christ. Just kind of God ordained story, but also there's moments that we've written scenes, and I'm sure y'all say, man, you just didn't like that. Why didn't write that? So our inspiration comes from beyond just our imagination. I always write in author's notes like, thank you, God, for my creative spirit and creative mind, because that was a gift from Him. And that's part of one of the things, like, God creating the whole world and the intricacies and things that, in science we're still trying to understand. Like, just when you look at things like that, you're just like, wow, creative, we have a creative God, and that we still can't understand, and that's okay. But but also I feel closer with my faith. Like, when I'm writing books, like, I feel like it's for me, like, this story theme in mine is faithfulness, and like, God is faithful even when things happen you don't understand, even when you feel like you're kind of alone, or you're trying to just work. Like, my character is just trying to work to take care of things, and she has to really find rest and go, like, God's kind of like, you just let other people also help. Like, you're not put on this earth alone. You're not alone. And so, that's just like the theme in our stories. But in restoration is one of our things too within a family. There's a lot of things in our family unit. And with yours, what is the theme in your story?
So overall, with the 4-book collection, legacy is huge because it's called Carolina's Legacy Collection, and it's really a lot about how we have such huge effects on people around us. Even people that we just meet in passing, you have an effect on that person. Maybe you smiled at them and they were having a bad day. You have no idea what effect that made on them. And then, of course, close friends and family, and the legacy that you leave behind. So that's a big thing. In this particular book, identity was a big thing, figuring out who you are. Both Jack and Rachel, it's a dual POV, so 2 points of view, goes back and forth between Jack, who writes letters to the girl he left behind, and Rachel is writing in her journal at the same time period, and she's the girl he left behind. And so you get to see them and their journey of growing up and maturing, and that whole concept of identity. Who am I in this great big world? And for them, ultimately they do come to that absolute of, God is the only absolute. And so when their identity is in Him, then it's solid. There's no confusion, there's no uncertainty anymore, and that's huge.
Yeah, it's grounded, and our faith is our plumb line. When things are chaotic, which all our lives are chaotic, what do you turn to? What's your lifeline? And we, unfortunately, a lot of us, like, we go back to God, which we're glad, because He doesn't give up on us. I'm so thankful. But like, where do you in your life? What are you, measuring on or going back to? So theme wise, what else did you see in our book theme wise?
Well, I think it was the legacy of that family and everything they've gone through, the hurt that they had to heal, and from your character through Betsy. Why am I calling Becky?
It's okay. Yeah, Betsy's character, Jolene.
And my, the mother who had this sweetheart love that she married, and she was happy, but that was always in her head, that it hurt her. And so, and Granny had her secrets. It all had to be resolved and healed, and their faith shined through at the end. The faith held together.
And coming together too. Like, just family coming together. People in the town coming together after this hurricane, which we all understand that Louisiana in different ways. And so just, communities coming together. People, may not have been close, and now they're close together. They're trying to figure out if there's miscommunication. So Like, and that's what when we read, we really think we may not know what the theme is when we read it, but we kind of think of what do we feel after this? Like, we hope you feel with writing Christian fiction, you feel uplifted and encouraged, because that's definitely something we want to edify each other as believers in Christ. And so that's one thing we hope you feel, but also we hope you've taken away something that can bring value to your life, whether it's maybe calling somebody you haven't talked to in a while, maybe it's looking at things from a perspective that maybe I kind of overreacted, like, and that just praying, like, God, can you open my eyes to things? So my character, Maddie, really had to go at the end of that. She had we call it come to Jesus meeting, sometimes, but she had to be like, what am I missing? But God was using people in her life, including y'all's characters, to help her see. Okay, does anybody have any questions? It's okay if you don't. Do you have any questions? Okay, yes.
Would each of you comment on AI?
Oh, comment on AI. Whew, that's a hard one. Okay. Anybody have comments on AI? Or do we understand it yet? We're all still figuring that out.
I think it's a valuable tool, but it cannot write a book the way a human can.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of controversy. So authors that we know, so the AI companies, I don't remember which one, but I'm not going to start saying any names like that either, but there's a bunch of well-known authors, bestsellers, names recognized, and there's a lot even in Christian fiction, where these companies had taken their books, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of books, put it in their system. So essentially, what are they going to do with that? Well, someone's going to write books from our voice, but yet these authors were not compensated or asked permission in any way, nor the publishers. So you have that controversy. So I do think AI, to an extent, has some value, which we know with technology there is a value, but there's definitely cons and danger in that, especially with creative arts and the photographers. Like, I'm a photographer, so like when you can try to replace the arts in any kind of way, and then also like even if you're an indie published author, if you go through Amazon, KDP even has a thing where we're supposed to check if you use AI for images. Who's going to admit to that? Who's going to admit to that? So I'm like, but it's just, I think for creative artists, we really thrive in the creativity and the originality. And so AI in that sense is kind of trying to take that from us to commercialize and change, cheapen what they can get for creative. It is
scary, but it's not going to go away, and we just have to find a way to not let it take over what we know is ours, and protect our rights, protect our voices, because it's artificial. We're not, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I say too, as readers, us too, buy from publishers, buy your favorite authors, help just put money into the publishing industry, because request books from your library, books that are not written by AI, because the authors wouldn't do that, or these publishers would not do that. So anyway, that's our voice we can have, is where our money is. And so I would definitely say, or if you can't, request from libraries, request our books, and not just ours, but any author that's not doing AI. Any other questions right now? I have more questions. Okay, for Joy. And we're doing good on time, so I'm checking that. All right, Joy, this is a question specifically for your book. Thinking about one of the messages in your book, what is one good thing you are thankful for? Because I liked your title. It made me kind of think about that.
So that is something that they do in their entries, is they have their one good thing for the day, and that stems from Carolina, whose legacy is passed down. She encouraged them to always find something to be thankful for every day. No matter how bad the day is, you can find something to be thankful for. And so I think what I would say today is my husband. So Tony is a huge support, and he's always with me. Sweet. I didn't mean to get all
That's good. Awesome. Okay, so next question for you, Joy, is had you written in the epistolary style before? If you're not sure what that is, it's usually letters, diaries. Sometimes these days it's text messaging. So it just depends on what format it is. There's lots of different ones now, but had you written that style before? And if you let us know, why did you write the book in that way, or feel it needed to go in that format?
So I have incorporated this to a smaller extent in the previous books in the collection. I'm pretty sure in every single one of them there is some letter or something in there, and it's just a fun way. I love that. I love letters. Letter writing has really kind of fallen by the wayside these days, but it's something that's so beautiful, and I feel like people say things in letters in ways that maybe they wouldn't otherwise. So I do have that in each of those. And then this book is those two characters, and I needed their voices. I wanted to hear their voices because Any Good Thing is the first book, and it's the same timeline. So you get much of the same story, but now you get it from their words. You get what they're actually feeling and what they were thinking. And especially with Rachel, there's a whole big chunk of time where you don't see Rachel. You don't know what's really happening with her. And now you do. And so she's telling like what's going on during that time. And so
It's awesome. I think it's neat too, like if you read the first book, then you're like, I want to know what the characters in this timeline's going on. So, we always, like, our readers are asking for Granny's story. And we're like, well, we'll see what happens. So it's fun for readers. We appreciate y'all getting invested in our characters and just wanting to hear the other stories. And it's inspiring us to write the other stories. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to jump to a question for Lenora and our book. Why do you think readers like Christmas stories, or what do you think they look for in a Christmas story? You've written quite a few Christmas stories, Lenora.
Who doesn't love a good Christmas story? Well, we all love Christmas and, the meaning of Christmas and why we celebrate Christmas. I think it just gives them the warm fuzzies, and they know it's going to have a happy ending, we hope. And even in my suspense, I write a lot of Christmas stories, and in the middle of catching the bad guy, they do remember what the season is, especially after they catch the bad guy. But I think it's just important to readers to have something that will confirm what they are experiencing in the Christmas season. And, I always tell any group I speak to, I write, Elvis said, Elvis said, I just want to be an entertainer. And I used to have a cup that I got at Graceland that said that. And I think somebody in my house broke it. I won't name names. But anyway, and I thought that's a good way to think about writing. I want to entertain people, but I will want to encourage them and enlighten them at the same time. And especially if you're a Christian writer a Christian who writes, or a Christian writer, you want that message in there, but you don't want to just bam, bam, bam people on it. So we want to write books that will encourage anybody, whatever their path is, to know that there's a higher being in the world that takes care of all of us. And that's, to us, that's Jesus. So it's a very important time for readers to confirm what they believe in. And really, I like to put a little Christmas all year long. And so that's why we have Christmas in July. And it reaffirms that this is a beautiful season, a season of love and peace. And it's special. And if you have a good book and a cup of coffee and a piece of chocolate pie or pumpkin pie, or my sweet potato, that's heaven on earth. And so we want to make that special for readers. And I think that's the long answer to your question.
No, and I think for Christmas, I call it Christmas dopamine. Like dopamine, you just have this uplifting feeling, like excited. You have this, so even like I love Christmas lights and Christmas, smells of Christmas, and just seeing things is nostalgic. So our nostalgia really kicks in. It's also a time that you feel a little more hope, and even, it's also a time of remembrance. For most we've lost, memory, nostalgia, it all kind of goes hand in hand, but also a time to come together and to celebrate together, spend time when you may have been busy the rest of the year, because we're all busy. Just a time to kind of reevaluate some things, especially before the new year. But I think too, in our Christmas stories, we know with romance, it's going to have, happily ever after for now, happily for now. And so kind of where it's going, but you're like, they're going through all these things and they're doing all, having all this, but there's just some you're seeing the hope, and you're seeing your own busy life, and hopefully seeing yourself in the characters too.
And have a little side story here. I write for Love Inspired, which is an imprint of Harlequin. And every year at the big conferences, Harlequin has a party. And one year, one of the newer, I call them Probies, was there in her first book. And she said, why is this such an exciting party where everybody wants to be here? And I said, it's like Christmas. It comes once a year. And for 4 or 5 hours, everybody loves everybody. She said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We want to love everybody.
And as a Christmas author, you can kind of you give us a little grace because we're all not in our real life baking cookies, going to Christmas tree farms, and going to festivals and saving Christmas. But in the movies and plots, we had to actually, three of us go, okay, we have a list of all the Christmas things, but who's going to take what? We can't all have mistletoe moments, is what I called it. I got the mistletoe moment in my book. But we all had to pick, like, who's doing cookies, who's doing tree farm. But that's like fun. Even they're like kitschy things, you're just like, I'm gonna go to a tree
I
farm.
had the Christmas ball. That was fun.
She had the Christmas Eve ball, and we had fun picking out our ball gowns, ours, not the characters, on Pinterest. So we have a Pinterest board too. So if you want to check out some more, but okay, let's see. We're doing good on time. Next question. We kind of answered this one about the process of writing interconnected stories. I guess how similar is our fictional town of Moreau? No, we have a Moreauville in Louisiana, but we did Moreau. To your experiences of Louisiana, similarities and differences, and how did we kind of infuse culture into this town?
Well, we based it
Loosely, yeah.
on Natchitoches, which
Yeah,
has
city
the,
knowledge.
famous for their Christmas and also for, help me, the movie,
Still Magnolias.
Still Magnolias.
Yeah.
And so we based it on that. And to me, it really felt like that. And it was a small town, very closely knit town. And that, a hurricane had come through. And we can all understand that. Living here, I live in Florida, and you've seen the devastation lately of what happened. It changes not only your life, but it changes your mentality. And so it really felt like what we'd all been through before. And even though I lived in Shreveport, which is northwest, a lot of people call it an annex to Texas, if you didn't know that. But I knew, I had been there when Katrina hit, and I knew I had helped people, and people came up to Shreveport to live. They didn't have anywhere else to live. And so we wanted to validate that when something like that happens, a small town comes together. And you put your differences aside and you work hard. And so all of our characters, all four, they were trying to work hard to restore the town, this historic town. And
therefore their legacy too, because it's the same family
and that's
legacy
the legacy.
that
And
started
that's
the town.
they wanted the joy of Christmas back. They wanted, her character especially wanted it done by Christmas, ready, and it was something that was urgent to her because that was how she felt. It was her town and her family and her heritage. And so in that respect, it reminded me of Natchitoches. It reminded me of Jefferson, Texas. It reminded me of parts of New Orleans. And it just was really special to write something that you're familiar with and that you love, and give those characters a life that you can show people how they overcame these small town problems.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so let's see. I'm going back to you, Joy. So I have a few more minutes. Okay, so your book is for fans of Where the Crawdads Sing. Why do you think readers will also enjoy your book?
So I do have a lot of nature in this book, and there's a particular period of time during Jack's life where he is living on a mountain by himself, homeless, and I did a ton of research about the animals that would have been in that part of the country. It's actually the part of the country that is really hurting right now, and I got to research the animals. I got to research how the mountain would be, the weather, all of the things, and like how would he survive, like what would he do, and all of this kind of stuff. And so I love that, and that's one of the things that I love so much about Where the Crawdads Sing, because you can tell that she really understands nature, and she understands, the animals and all of the things, and I love that. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, and as we know, settings they make a difference in the book. They also can be a character.
Yes.
Natural setting. For us, our cover is a house that was the family-owned house. Family had built it over 200 years before. And so when Barbara, our publisher, asked us, what would you suggest for the cover? That doesn't always happen. And thank you so this last day. So we were like, Well, let's see. So we really thought we really don't feel like they could put 3 women on the cover. It's just a little much, or 4. But we're like, the house really is an anchor for the family. The memories, the things that are going on, that they always go back to the house, different scenes. So we really wanted a classic porch, red door, if possible, some pretty decorations, and we really are proud of our cover that we have, because we feel like it evokes the setting and just this nostalgia of I want to go visit that house and have Christmas dinner or different things. And so
Granny can make some gumbo.
yeah, Granny can make some gumbo. And we really liked exploring multi-generational things, because a lot of romance you see people in their 20s. So we like to have a lot of different ages, because even Granny has some romantic sparks going on. She has her 80th birthday in the book. So, which was also a family reunion. So we had a lot of fun doing that. Anybody have any other questions? Okay.